folks, this is Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and we've got this knife. This is Higo no Kami. I know I totally butchered the pronunciation of that. This is a Japanese style knife. This knife has been made in this style by the same factory for around 150 years in Japan. This is a made in Japan authentic knife, and it cost merely $15 US. I got it through Massdrop. They do not currently have these on sale on their site, but you can get them at a number of places, and I'll try to get some links down below. I won't be sure if it's exactly the same company in Japan that makes the ones that are in those links or not. I'll do my best, but we'll see. What we have is a very simple knife, and it's a friction folder, but don't leave just because of that. There's some really neat stuff, and if you're a knife collector, this is a very economical way of getting an authentic, historical, call it a reproduction if you will, but it's made by the same company the same way as it was many, many years ago. So stick around for this review coming at you right now. To start off with, I am very thankful for the Google Translate app on the cell phone because, I can just use that to translate the Japanese. Japanese is crazy. I just learned that they use 3 different scripts for their language. One of them is they actually use some Chinese characters, or a lot of Chinese characters, for one of the ways that they write Japanese, and the 2 others are very Japanese, and wow, I am impressed. I wouldn't want to be a Japanese I wouldn't want to be trying to learn Japanese as an adult now. That sounds like it'd be very, very difficult. Anyway, here's the authentic box from China, from Japan, not China. Higo CJB, and then there's their code on there, but here's the authentic sticker. It's a nice paper box. And they've even included the way they folded it up together from one piece, and it lets it be nice and colorful inside, decent paper. And then here, there's the documentation. I've got pictures of this so you can read this if you know Japanese. I did translate that into English so I could see that, yes, this is from, this company is from, within the last 150 years is when this company started, and this is just awesome. I got the version that they're calling, I think they're calling this Jade. Anyways, the paint on here, and that's all it is it's a paint, but it's got that nice, let's see if I can get a nice close-up of this. It's got this nice green and black in it. Depending on how I hold this, if I go like this, you can see my little LEDs right there from the light that I have up top, but it's just a very cool color. And then there, you can see these characters. I wasn't able to get that in a good enough focus that the Google Translate was able to let me see what that said. And then on the knife itself, we've got some more characters, and that app wasn't able to read that either. So first, let's talk about this steel. This is blue paper steel, which is a high-grade steel. They've got 2 classes of blue paper steel, and I don't know which one this is, so I suspect it's the lower classification of it. But even then, it can go up to a Rockwell hardness of 62. I suspect this is probably closer to 95 or something, but I've not yet sharpened it, and so I haven't experienced how hard it feels underneath my sharpening stones or not. But it's made with layers of steel. On the very core is the carbon steel, the one that gets really, really hard. And then they've got softer steels on the outside, and that makes this a super durable knife. Blue paper steel is the same knife that they use to make katanas with, traditionally. And so that's really cool. So we've got this blade. It's got a slight sweep to it, a slight upsweep here, and then this tip here. Some people call that a reverse tanto. Some people call that more of a Wharncliffe style or sheep's foot style. Call it what you will. You can see what it is. And you can see the different grades of steel there. There's a distinct line that's about 1/8 of an inch up, and then you can't see the other lines as well. Sometimes it's said to have 3 layers. Sometimes they say there's 2 layers, but actually it's made up with multiple thin layers of steel stacked up. So a lot like a Damascus style, but they don't alternate. And so you've got the one type of steel in the core and then another type of steel that's layered on the outside edges. And so you still get some of that rough treatment of steel where they cut it out on the spine of the blade that you can see right there. And then this is folded over here. So your thumb goes on there and holds it so it's secure. And then you close it up and it's inside the little holder here. Very, very simple. The holder is a good 1/2 inch longer than the blade is. Nothing wrong with that. Very interesting little cutout. Some of them have this cutout, some of them don't. And I suspect it's for one of your fingers to get in there to get a better lock on a nice grip on this handle, because without it, you wouldn't get quite as good of a grip. But that's just fine the way it is. I kind of like this the way it is. And then, of course, the lanyard hole back there. So that's the general construction. Now, how did they do this grind? This is ground in a similar way that Scandinavian grind is, or a Scandi grind on bushcraft knives. There's no micro bevel or anything. There's just one bevel from edge to the full thickness of the blade. And so that's all just one angle right there. And it's amazing. This is right around 13 degrees. One side is just under 13 degrees. The other side is just over 13 degrees. Hand sharpened. Very, very cool knife. Very, very sharp edge. And so let's put that aside and let's focus now more on some of the details of this. Let's get this camera a little bit closer to the knife. Okay, let's do the dimensions next. The cutting edge and the blade length are the same dimension. It's 7.2 centimeters, 2.84 inches. So you can actually carry this in places where you're allowed to carry a knife blade that's 3 inches or shorter. So that's good. The blade thickness is 3.1 millimeters. That's 0.122 inches. The blade depth, well, it varies. It seems to be a little more narrow here than it is there. Not seems, it is a little more narrow here than it is there. So it's roughly around 1/2 inch, just over 1.32 centimeters, 0.52 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, well, it's 3.1 millimeters, the thickness of the steel, because it's that one grind angle. I talked about the grind angles. The handle length is 9.8 centimeters, 3.85 inches. The grip area is just a little bit less because it's, curved on the ends. So the grip area here is 9.1 centimeters, 3.6 inches. The handle thickness is around 7 millimeters. That's 0.275 inches. A little bit less right here if you don't count the rivets. And you could squeeze this if you wanted to, but I wouldn't want to. You need a little width to give yourself a decent grip. The handle depth, that's this way, and the closed depth, they're the same thing because the knife tucks in. 1.75 centimeters, 0.69 inches. And the total length of this knife, I forgot to give the imperial measurement. It's 16.9 centimeters, and I'll put the inches on the screen right here. Like I said, it's $14.99 at Massdrop. Other places might have different prices, and you can translate that into whatever value your currency is against about $15 US. So it is definitely a budget knife. The style of handle here, it's what later on came to be called a Russlock style. This was produced before the Russlocks ever came about, before Russell, the guy who invented the Russlock, was even born. So this predates it. And it's hand forged. And, this tip part is banged flat out of, this 3.1 millimeter thick steel. And then they forged this little flat spot for your thumb out of it. So for what it is, it's really good. The friction on the pivot point here is quite good, so it doesn't just flop around. Wherever I put it, it stops, but it's not hard to move. So that's a good thing. Inexpensive, very traditional. Excellent steel for the price. Like I said, this can go up to a 62 Rockwell hardness. If I didn't say it before, I'm saying it now. Easy to carry, easy to use, very light. You might even forget that's in your pocket because it weighs 45 grams, 1.6 ounces. What are the cons on it? For what it is, I don't have any cons. Yeah, it can be a little hard on your hand when your hand is grabbing this thin edge. But for what it is, this is made very, very well. It is a carbon steel, so you do need to make sure you keep putting a little thin film of some kind of oil on here. If you're going to use it for any food prep, you probably want to use some vegetable-based oil on that. Let's see if I want to talk a little bit. I've got some more notes here about the steel. Let's see if I want to mention anything more about it. Yeah, there is tungsten in it and chromium added, so easier to harden it and stuff. The carbon contents in grade 1 and grade 2 are a little bit different. Grade 2 blue steel has got slightly less carbon than grade 1 of their steel. And it's a good steel. Let's see how it cuts. Well, it's just paper. It's going to cut very, very well. This is still the factory edge, and I've done a fair bit of cutting with it, so it's a little bit tricky to start sometimes. I do need to, see, I haven't used the tip quite as much, so as you can see, it's cutting there quite a bit better. Very, very nice. So when you sharpen this, you really need to go across the whole edge, or I suspect most people, if they want to use this, they're going to put just a little micro bevel on the edge here. Since this is around 13 degrees, you might do that right around 10 degrees. I wouldn't want to go any less than that because that's a very low angle already. A nice point here on the tip if you do need to do a tiny bit of piercing on some stuff. But yeah, like I said, it's a friction knife, so you do have to be careful that it doesn't close on you. So, nice knife that I really enjoy having. And for the price point, it's so easy to get something kind of cool into my collection. And so I'm really glad to have this. If you'd like to get something like this into your own collection, check out the links down below the video in the description area and get one for yourself, or maybe a Christmas gift for somebody else. At this price, it could be a really cool stocking stuffer. Anyhow, thanks for watching, liking, sharing, and just a minute before I sign off, no, I haven't passed away. I'm still here, as you can tell from me doing this video. I haven't been doing some videos for a little while now, or very many videos, because I've been quite ill. My digestive system is just knocking me over. But I think I'm getting a little bit better now. And I might not be doing some videos this weekend either. I still have not visited my grandchild, my grandson, my third grandchild. He lives around a 3-hour drive away one way, so I might be doing that this weekend, so I might not have videos coming out then either. I didn't know if my stomach thing was an infection and contagious or not, so I was waiting until I get better to go see him. So, thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and all the good things you guys do for my channel. Remember, cut towards your chum, not your thumb.